Killings linked to the Troubles should be investigated. The new measures will replace the controversial Legacy Act brought in by the Conservatives that cancelled inquests and prosecutions and was opposed by Labour, all Northern Ireland parties, a number of victims groups and the Irish government. It was announced earlier by the Northern Ireland Secretary Hilary Benn and the Irish Deputy Prime Minister Simon Harris, who described the deal as a day and night improvement on the current measures.
There is now a comprehensive set of measures that both governments can take to provide the maximum truth, justice and accountability to those who urgently need it and deserve it. And that...
A British couple released after being detained in Afghanistan for almost 8 months have landed safely in Qatar. There were emotional scenes in Doha as the 76-year-old Barbie Reynolds and her husband Peter, who's 80, were reunited with their daughter Sarah. They will undergo medical checks in the Gulf state before returning to Britain. The Taliban said the couple who'd lived in the country for 18 years were arrested for breaking Afghan laws without elaborating on which laws had been broken. They were freed following mediation efforts led by Qatar. And Scottish Government Minister Jamie Hepburn has resigned after being accused of assaulting the Conservative MSP Douglas Ross. Ross said the Parliament minister grabbed him and swore aggressively as they left the Holyrood chamber on Wednesday. Hepburn said he put his hand on the former Scottish Tory leader's shoulder and used some choice words. Those are your headlines. More from me at 7 o'clock.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello, welcome to Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. And for those of you asking, Michelle will be back on Monday. You've just got the slightly older version tonight and slightly more London version. I can try Michelle's accent, but it's not going to wash, is it? Any case, thank you for your company. It's all about you, gbnews.com/your say. Get in touch. Joining me until 7 is my wonderful panel tonight. Matt Goodwin, pollster, academic and GB News presenter, sitting there looking rather fabulous and equally fabulous. Joe Phillips, journalist and former political advisor, looking equally wonderful. It's a Friday night. Come on, let's have some fun, people. As I said, get your views coming in, gbnews.com/your say about everything we're talking about, because we've got some really hot debates coming up for you. Now, after a state visit with all the pomp and pageantry, you'd expect the US President and First Lady are back in the White House. I wonder what they're doing tonight, having a cup of tea with their feet up. But Donald Trump didn't leave without a parting shot, did he, on board Air Force One as he flew back to Washington. He claimed he personally had a London Mayor Sadiq Khan banned from that state banquet in Windsor on Wednesday night. And he revealed exclusively to GB News, a Late Show Live host, Bev Turner. Here's what he said.
Events in England, a state visit, spectacular. Right. And yet the Mayor of London can't be there.
I didn't want him there. I asked that he not be there. I don't want them. I think the Mayor of London, Khan, is among the worst mayors in the world. And we have some bad ones.
One of the worst mayors in the world. Joe, do you think he's being a bit over-exaggerating, or do you think he's got a point?
I think he's utterly ridiculous. I mean, we know there's no love lost between him and Sadiq Khan.
Fair enough.
But the idea that he stopped Sadiq Khan attending any of those events, even Donald Trump cannot overrule the King and Buckingham Palace on a state banquet. I mean, Rupert Murdoch was there, for goodness sake, and he's suing him. You know, you can't... It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's a real shame because he does this. He was quite well behaved. He was obviously, you know, thrilled, as anybody would, because they rolled out everything. And if you know, what are they doing tonight? I bet you they're watching it on repeat.
Do you think...
On repeat.
I'm just trying to work out how I'd be doing. I'll have a very large glass of wine. He doesn't even drink, so he can't do that.
Well, no, but I should imagine Charles and Camilla probably had a large glass of something when it was all over and put their feet up.
Feet up in their slippers.
But, you know, I mean, OK, Trump doesn't like Sadiq Khan. Who cares? It's nothing to do with him. Sadiq Khan has been re-elected 3 times to be Mayor of London. It's a democracy.
It was a bit rich, though, Sadiq Khan, to accuse Trump of being childish when he was the one that gave the OK for that man-baby balloon thing to be flown the last time.
I think we'll be talking about this on Free Speech when we come on to Jimmy Kimmel later on in the programme. But actually, it just shows you what a thin-skinned narcissist Trump is.
Well, I think in fairness to the President of the United States, what he cares about is competency and performance. And the accusation made toward London Sadiq Khan that he's a terrible mayor is entirely accurate. Violent crime has surged in London. Sexual crime in London has never been higher. Two things we learned about London this week. The first is the average London home can no longer be afforded by every income group. In other words, London's property market is now completely out of reach for every income bracket.
You can't blame
That's
that
the
on
Office
Sadiq.
for National Statistics.
But you can't blame that on
Well,
the mayor.
I wonder what's pushing up property prices and rents. What could it be? Could it be the kind of extreme policies that mad progressives like Sadiq Khan back, like mass uncontrolled immigration? The second thing we learnt this week is Sadiq Khan's own officials in the Transport for London suppressed a report which showed that low traffic neighbourhoods do not reduce car use. And in their email exchange, they openly said they were suppressing this report because they didn't want people, Londoners, to know the truth. So Trump is absolutely right. Sadiq Khan is a radical ideologue. He's running London into the ground. I've been coming in and out of London since the 1980s. I've never known this city to be this horrific. It's overpriced. It's grubby. Everything's dirty. Crime is a serious issue. 90,000 smartphones stolen last year. I would love Donald Trump to be in charge of London. Goodness me, look at how he's cleaning up Washington, D.C. Imagine that.
How do you explain Sadiq being re-elected 3 times then?
That doesn't mean that he's running London in a competent way. Who's voting for Sadiq Khan?
Well, you can't have it both ways, Matt. I mean, if people are voting for him, he is standing for election, and London is...
To be frank, I think people are voting for Sadiq Khan because he's a Labour mayoral candidate, and a lot of the people voting for Labour are minorities. I don't think they are...
They're still voting democratically.
I don't think they're basing that judgment on his performance as London mayor.
Well, they're voting
on most objective measures.
Whatever reason they decide to exercise their right to vote.
London has unquestionably declined as a great city. Nobody outside of this country thinks London is a great city anymore. They don't. I go to America often, I go to Europe often. London, in the eyes of many people, is nowhere near the city that it once was.
Do you honestly think London's getting better, Jo?
I don't think it's getting better. I mean, I'm not going to defend London. I don't live in London. And I don't... Well, I don't know why that's so amusing.
Because this is exactly what it's about. It's a luxury belief class saying we should celebrate all of these things, and they're not actually living with the consequences.
Shall I finish?
I'm in London every day.
Finish your point.
I'm in London every day.
Good for you. Good for you. I have lived in London, but I'm not going to defend London because I think it's wrong for people who don't live here. Going to the point about property prices have been driven up by rich people buying up loads and loads of property, and the lack of space to build any more social housing. We've seen huge costs on other things, and the police have been an absolute shambles. The Met Police have been a complete shambles and have brought the Met into disgrace. I don't think London is worse than it used to be, unless there is some sort of, wonderful nostalgic view of what it used to be.
Hang on. You talk about social housing. Nearly half of all social housing in London has gone to households that are headed by people who aren't even British. London has basically sold itself out to global corporations, to immigrants, while pushing people who have lived on these islands for a long period of time out of the capital city. There's been a concerted strategy to push Londoners to the outer skirts of the city. It's what the French geographer Christophe Grillet calls the periphery.
Yes.
Everybody who lived in this country, who paid taxes in this country, whose parents and grandparents paid taxes, has been pushed to the outer declining areas of London, while inner London, central London, has been taken over by, an assortment of globalists and third world migrants who have been subsidised by the same UK taxpayers who are being pushed out of the city.
It's donut, is what it's known as, that you hollow out the middle.
It's happening.
It's happening, but and you're right that a lot of that is to do to the affordability and availability of housing. But, all of those people who are in those swanky offices and those swanky houses that they don't necessarily live in, look at the people who are doing the cleaning, who are cleaning the streets, who are, driving the cleaning trucks, who are doing the jobs that other people don't do. Look at the people who are staffing
so there's
NHS. Could I finish a sentence?
But I'm just curious.
Let Jo finish her point, Matt.
The people people who are staffing NHS hospitals in London, which are some of the best in the world, a lot of those people will be legal migrants brought here and welcomed here to take on those jobs to keep it going.
But we're going all... Is it the NHS? Is it housing? Just stay on housing for a minute, OK? So you don't draw any link at all between the housing crisis in this country and the fact that we have never had as much migration into this country as we have today. You do not think that has driven up excessive demand, so that in London, on average, if there's an available apartment, 28 people compete for that flat, and the vast majority of those people are not British.
That's
you don't draw a link
rented.
between migration.
I would draw a link between the number of many factors that have made housing shortages. I mean, where I live in Kent, and you know Kent very well from when you used to work down there, an awful lot of people were shipped out of London with many problems. They weren't actually migrants, they were ex-offenders, they were drug addicts, they were people with a whole load of problems who were shipped into the seaside towns, and that has happened around the country, which has contributed to the decline of coastal areas around Britain. So yes, you're right, London has consistently got rid of the people it doesn't want to support and doesn't want to...
Our own people. Our own people.
Well, they're our own drug addicts, yes, if you like, and our own ex-cons.
They are our people. They are part of our national community. They should be put first when we're allocating scarce resources.
Not if you want
like
nurses
housing.
and doctors and teachers.
Of all visas that were issued in the last 3 or 4 years, what percentage of those visas that went to migrants went for doctors in the NHS?
Not very many doctors, but an awful lot for care and for nursing.
It's about 2%. OK?
Care
so
and
let's keep it in
nursing.
perspective. But the other thing about Sadiq Khan, just briefly, is the other thing he said this week is he issued this bizarre statement saying we must reclaim the flag. Now, in his mind, what that means is being British and English is really only about celebrating immigration, celebrating diversity, being tolerant, which is the same thing as saying we have no identity of our own. I didn't see Sadiq Khan issuing a statement when Black Lives Matter were running through London, breaking COVID regulations, breaking the law, assaulting police officers. I didn't see Sadiq Khan saying, you know what, I better issue a statement here saying we should reclaim law and order in this country. The guy's a hypocrite. It's two-tier all the way with Sadiq Khan.
OK, we have run out of time on that one, unfortunately. Could listen to this for hours, couldn't you? A source close to Sadiq Khan hits back at Trump, saying Trump's politics is one of fear and division. This includes talking down our great capital city. London is a global success story. It's open, dynamic and safer than major US cities. Perhaps that's one of the reasons record numbers of our Americans are choosing to make London their home. As a born and bred Londoner who still lives in it, I'm saying nothing after that, but you can. gbnews.com/your say. Coming up, tax rises are now inevitable, according to experts. Are you dreading Rachel Reeves' autumn budget? Don't go too far. See you soon.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live starts Monday night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, welcome back. This is Dewbs & Co. with me, Dawn Neeson, for the sharp-eyed amongst you. I'm a slightly older blonde. Keeping me company until 7 o'clock is Matt Goodwin, and GB News presenter even. He's got a show coming up after this one, which he would like me to mention, I'm sure. Wouldn't you, Matt? Yes, you
8
would.
p.m.
Yeah. and Joe Phillips, of course. Now, tax rate. How are you looking forward to autumn? Kicking through the autumn leaves, nice drinks in front of a roaring log fire, and, of course, the budget, yes. It's being described as inevitable that tax rises are going to come our way after government borrowing hit the highest level in 5 years. And 5 years ago, remember, was the pandemic, when you understood people borrowing. But it's not all bad news for Chancellor Rachel Reeves, evidently the boss of tech giant Nvidia, has urged people to invest in Britain. If you want to get rich, follow a wave of tech investment announcements during Donald Trump's state visit this week. OK, let's come to you first on this one, Matt. I mean, yeah, OK, Donald Trump investing in the country. I'm not quite sure what Donald Trump's getting out of this in return. That's all been a bit vague. Donald did say he was going to make money out of it, but didn't say how. However, are you confident that we are going into a period of growth?
No, is the short answer. I think one of the standout stats this week for me is that since April alone, just think about this, since April alone, this country has spent £50 billion just servicing the interest on its national credit card. Before you get to the NHS, before you get to schools, before you get to policing, that's because our pile of debt is so big, and it's now the most expensive pile of debt in the G7. That's because markets don't have as much confidence in our economy as they do other economies. We are spanking tens of billions of pounds, basically, each month, just servicing our national credit card. Now, that was made worse. Labour will say, it's because of the Tories. Tories certainly got a lot of things wrong. I'm the last person in this country to defend the Tories. But Labour made that so much worse by that big spending spree during their first budget. So now the consequences are going to come home to roost with Rachel Reeves's second budget. Taxes will go up at the same time, unfortunately, as food prices, we know, will go up about 6%, because big supermarkets are saying you're raising business rates at the same time. You've given us national insurance tax rises at the same time. Energy prices are going up.
Workers' rights bills are coming.
Still got the workers' rights, but energy bills are going up. We learned again this week they're going up £100 by April because of the net zero lunacy. So look, on the one hand, it's easy to get depressed and think, oh my goodness, this is going to be an incredibly difficult winter. And it is going to be a really difficult winter for lots of ordinary people. Maybe not tech bosses, maybe not people running companies in Silicon Valley, but ordinary, hard-working, law-abiding Brits, this is going to be a difficult winter. But the one thing I would ask them to cling on to is look at the polls. Labour this week, 16%, the lowest ever level of support for Labour in the history of polling. Reform on 34%. Now, what that tells me is change is coming. Change is coming.
Joe, this borrowing, 18 billion, oh my God, no, 18 billion. I mean, it's due to public sector wage rises, higher benefits bills, and, as Matt's just pointed out, the rise in debt interest payments.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it, according to the OBR, Office for Budget Responsibility, is that local councils, which come into this figure, have been borrowing 2.8 billion more than expected.
She's got to go.
Well, I think that's a decision for Keir Starmer, and I think we are 4 years away from an election. There may be one before then, but we're not in an election campaign right now. I think there are some really significant issues here, and I think the government have got to be really tough. They've got to say the triple lock is actually now unaffordable, and of course it won't be popular, but it is quite ridiculous that the number of older people who are on, they're actually getting more money than somebody on a very average salary. And the increase in the state pension will push many people into an income tax bracket, which is nonsense. The other thing they've got to do, and they failed to do abysmally, was welfare reform. There are too many people...
Well, they bottled out that one, didn't they?
Yes, but that is about why they've got to be tough, and they've got to turn around to their own backbenchers. They've got a majority and say, come on, we've got to do this. Because if you've got, 1 out of 5 people in your constituency saying, I'm worried about losing this, you've got 4 out of 5 saying, I'm fed up with paying for this. There are other things that she could look at, like the freeze on fuel duty, which has been there for 15 years, which seems to be completely bonkers. But I think Matt's absolutely right to bring up the issue of food prices, because not only is it that the supermarkets are putting up or incurring greater costs, we've had a terrible, terrible season across the world for so many things. And in this country alone, wheat yields, for instance, are down 50%. Now, that makes a huge difference. So if you look at what the weather we've had in the summer with the drought and the rain earlier in the year, that has had a huge impact on British food, which is as important to our security and our resilience as our defence, in my opinion.
I think... For once, actually, I agree with you on...
Oh, my God,
right, OK, good night, everybody. Right. Hooray, OK.
On the need for somebody in Westminster to get serious about welfare reform, something we learned this week.
It's going to cost us, what's it going to cost by 2030? 100 billion on welfare.
I think it's also what lies underneath those figures. So we also learned this week that about 3.5 million people in this country who are on out-of-work benefits have no requirement to look for work. And we also learned that from the Centre for Social Justice, which I think is a really devastating statistic, that if you are on universal credit with disability and housing, you can have an income of £25,000 a year. Now, if you're a worker on the national living wage after tax, you take home £23,500.
Yeah.
So why work in this country?
And it's a gateway. That is the problem. But the benefit system is geared so it's a gateway to other benefits.
Right, we've run out of time on that one. Coming up with just 3 deported under the UK's 1 in, 1 out scheme, and over 800 arriving on small boats just today. Oops. Should the UK take Donald Trump's advice and bring in the military? All that after the break. We'll see you soon.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hot weather continues across the Canaries. It will turn a little cooler here into next week. Plenty of fine and sunny weather for Greece and Turkey, although a bit of a brisk breeze blowing across some of the Greek islands. Lots of sunshine too for Italy during the weekend, and indeed for much of eastern and southern Spain. But we will see increasing cloud and some showers over northern Spain and northern Portugal during Saturday afternoon. It is hot in Tenerife, but those temperatures just dipping off a little bit into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a wet start to the weekend for some, with a Met Office warning in force for heavy rain across northern and western areas. A much chillier day for all from Sunday onwards. Back to this evening though, and we've got this lingering weather front slowly edging its way southwestwards, dragging in some cloud and plenty of outbreaks of rain. This is set to continue through the overnight period, pushing more outbreaks of rain across parts of Wales, southwest England. This could be heavy at times. Otherwise, it should be mostly dry, just a few blustery showers clipping into the far northwest of Scotland and western coasts of Northern Ireland. But with plenty of cloud around, it should be a mostly mild night, temperatures dropping between 8 to 9 degrees Celsius in Scotland. Then to start off the weekend, in Scotland, yes, we're still going to continue to see blustery showers across the far north and northwest. Elsewhere, though, it should be mostly dry. Some showers starting to clip western coasts of Northern Ireland, and it is going to be a very wet start across northern parts of England, similar across Wales and southwest England too, where we could still see some quite heavy downpours of rain first thing on Saturday. Now, this system will slowly try to edge its way southeastwards. It's fairly slow moving, but it will eventually move into central parts of England, parts of the south too. A rain warning has been issued, so a chance we could see some localised flooding. A mix of sunny spells and showers across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps merging into some areas of persistent rain across Northern Ireland later. Staying mostly dry across the southeast, that's where we'll see the best of the temperatures. Not feeling quite as warm as Friday, but highs still reaching around 23 degrees Celsius. Now, on Sunday, there are still set to be some spells of rain, turning into brighter spells and showers by the afternoon. But with a northerly flow of wind, things are set to feel a little bit chillier, particularly across Scotland in the strengthening breeze. Into next week, it should be mostly dry and sunny, but the chilly feel is here to stay, and it's likely we'll even start to see some overnight frost.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. In Greater London Authority, a road traffic collision on the M1 southbound exit slip at Junction 2 has closed all lanes. Commuters using this route should expect delays. In Kent, on the A2, a broken down vehicle between junctions with the A28 and the M2 has closed one lane. In the Salford district, there's a broken down vehicle on the M62 westbound between junctions 12 and 11, restricting one of 4 lanes. And on the trains, disruptions affect cross-country services between Basingstoke and Eastleigh, with additional issues on Great Northern routes between Ely and Kings Lynn. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello, welcome back. This is Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. Keep me... Oh, you know who they are. We've got Matt Goodwin and Joe Phillips with me. And you, of course, gbnews.com/your say. I'll be reading out as many as I can. Now, after fighting off legal challenges, the Home Office has managed to deport, wait for it, 3 people to France under the government's so-called one-in, one-out scheme. But GB News can reveal that today alone, more than 800 have already crossed the channel on small boats. You do the maths on that one. It's Friday night. I can't be bothered. But despite that, Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy is standing by the partial returns deal with France. Have a listen.
This pilot with France is a milestone because it sends an immediate deterrence to people, many of them coming obviously across the water, that we will send them back, and it is our hope to see that grow over the coming months and years.
He's talking from within a prison, so you can add your own jokes to that one. But should the government take on Donald Trump's advice of bringing in the military, that's what he's done on the border of Mexico, isn't it, to help the immigration crisis? Joe, I bet you think it's a cracking idea, don't you?
I think it would be really nice if Donald Trump just went home. He had a lovely time.
He's home, he's gone.
Yeah, good. Well, stay out of this. I mean, the idea that you would use the military, you've got the Russians sending their jets, their fighter planes, into Romania over NATO airspace today.
Yeah.
And as Peter Kyle, the business secretary, said earlier today, we've got more important things to do with our limited defence resources. The Border Force already work with the Navy, and they have the Navy there that they can use. I mean, if Donald Trump's idea is that, you know, you send soldiers down to Dover and shoot people, then, frankly, that is not the sort of country that we want to be.
Do you think he's implying that?
I would imagine so. And I think
Donald Trump really thinks we should stand on the beaches and shoot people?
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Well, I think Donald Trump was going home, but he was going home to a country where the number of border crossings under his presidency have now fallen to 0.
Yes, and the people are being taken out of where they work, and they're being taken
illegal
off the streets.
Migrants are being rounded up and removed because they broke the law. What we need to do is leave the European Convention on Human Rights, repeal the Human Rights Act, detain and deport anybody who arrives into this country. The absurdity of deporting 3 illegal migrants. Shabana Mahmood is making videos on social media as if she's just personally assassinated Osama bin Laden. It's a joke. 3 people have gone. 800 have crossed today, 180,000 have crossed in total. And by the way, everybody, we don't know yet who's coming next week. We're going to have another 3 to replace the 3 that have just gone. And Keir Starmer's the guy who attacked the Conservatives and the Rwanda plan as being a gimmick. I've never seen anything so absurd in my life as this deal.
It's not working, Joe. I mean, even you'll admit it's not actually
Hang on a minute. Rwanda didn't work because the previous government hadn't got the detail right. It cost an absolute fortune, and it would have cost millions per person. At the most...
We never got to find out, though, did we? Whether it would even work as a deterrent.
All the figures and all the predictions were that it would only be a few hundred people. That was the only capacity.
And why didn't
And
it
let
work?
me just make a point that this appeal that has stopped the previous people being deported in this week, which has now been overturned, is about the Human Rights Act, not the European Convention on Human Rights.
The Human Rights Act entrenches
I know that,
the ECH.
but let's just be clear to the viewers that we are talking about our laws in this country. You may think they're a bad idea, you may think it needs repealing, but it is not the European Convention on Human Rights.
The ECHR...
And the interesting...
Sorry, can I just finish? The ECHR this week was, let's think about this, was used by the Egyptian asylum seeker who came into this country, was a convicted Islamist terrorist.
The one who
raped a woman in Hyde Park.
Under
and
the
his lawyer
previous
made
government.
reference to ECHR. Can I just quickly say one other thing, though, because this is really, I think, critically important. What is it that the Rwanda scheme and Keir Starmer's scheme have in common? They are both failing for the same reason. We do not control our laws. We need to regain control of our laws, and we need to dominate over international conventions and courts that are being used by activist lawyers and judges to prevent illegal migrants and criminals from being deported.
I think there has been a significant change of tone in the overturning by Mr Justice Sheldon, which was hastily rewritten, the guidance to lawyers by the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. And he pretty much said, you know, I'm not going to have this. There is significant public interest in favour of the claimant's removal. Now, that is a significant change.
But Joe, people out there don't want a change in tone.
Yes, they do.
No, they want a change in laws. They've had enough of this £5.7 million a day for hotels, £10 billion, estimated up to £10 billion a year on this crisis.
But one of the reasons that keeps coming up, and one of the reasons that is said either by migrants themselves or by other countries, other people, and, you know, I don't know where you sit on this, but is this ease of getting employment in this country. Now, if we had stricter employment laws, maybe if we had ID cards, maybe we wouldn't be, as French called us, such a soft touch.
Right, so the answer is not to actually regain control over our laws and borders. The answer from people in the Liberal Democrats and the left and so on is actually, it's interesting, is to accumulate more control our lives, give us your ID, you know, have ID cards, rather than do the obvious thing which would actually solve this crisis while retaining liberty on these islands, regain control of our laws,
which, of
leave
course,
the European Convention on Human Rights,
was what
detain
we
and deport anybody who arrives here illegally.
And that didn't happen.
No, ECHR wasn't on the table.
No, but it was about reclaiming the borders.
Please, somebody out there, pin this, play it back to me in a few years. Everybody who has not taken this crisis seriously, everybody who has lost control of the borders, everybody who has refused to listen to what the British people are telling them, from Epping to Dover, they're going to watch this country leave the European Convention on Human Rights, repeal the Human Rights Act, because they didn't take this crisis seriously.
And nor did the people who voted to leave the European Union, who voted for Brexit, who were sold a pack of lies that we were going to take back control.
By the Tories.
Didn't take... Absolutely, and we didn't take back control of anything at all. And we had the ability, whether or not the previous Tory governments over the last 14 years used it or not is a different question, but we had the ability to return people, and we didn't do it.
No, if you're referring to the Dublin Agreement, we took more asylum seekers than we deported. What's going to happen now is the longer this crisis goes on, that big vote that you see in the polls currently for reform is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And Labour are going to go down here, and Lib Dems are going to go down here. The Tories are over, finished. And I keep saying to people, my friends on the left, I say, listen, guys, if you want to be relevant in the years to come, if you want to hold some sense of political power, you have to understand the first duty of the state is to provide people with a secure home and strong borders. Cicero said that best, the Roman statesman. If you do not give people a sense of security, the social contract will collapse. That is what is happening in this country. The social contract is collapsing because our own leaders are not keeping people safe.
Joe, a lot of people in this country feel that. We've seen that with the flag campaign. We saw that with the Unite the Kingdom march last week. And do you think the government are listening to British people?
Yes, I do, and I think it's a bit late in the day, and I do think there has been a sort of a tendency to ignore it and ignore the concerns, real concerns of people in areas where they are really affected, whether it's Epping, and they've seen the Bell Hotel become a hostel.
Pretty much nationwide.
Well, it is, but it is variable. But I do think, and it's absolutely true, that there is a sort of a Westminster bubble, and because London is a very multicultural city, you don't see it in the same way as you do in other places.
I understand what you're going to say, but this is a very important question.
Right.
If you think Labour's listening to the British people, why in the papers today was it revealed that Lord Hermer, the Attorney General, is providing free advice...
It's not anymore.
...is providing advice to charities that want to help keep illegal migrants and asylum seekers in this country. They say they're listening to the people while working against the people.
Right. He gave pro bono advice to a charity and he stopped doing that work. He gave up all his work as a barrister, as a Casey, when he joined the government. So he is not giving that advice now. What he's done in the past, you know, that's his business, that's Keir Starmer's decision.
Well,
it's a question about Keir Starmer's judgment, isn't it, which, you know, we have seen has been sorely tested. But to say he is giving advice now is not true.
But talking of Keir Starmer's judgment, do you think he has good judgment?
I think he's got very dubious judgment. I think he's done far better on the international stage, actually, than he has done domestically. I think there are questions over his judgment in appointing Peter Mandelson. I think there are questions over the way he has dealt with what is happening on the doorstep. I think there are questions over his control of his own party, given that they've got such a huge majority, you know, to wit, welfare reform, which was then watered down. But I do think, you know, he has, whether you like it or not, he has managed to get Trump apparently on side, which is to the benefit of...
Do you think that's potentially saved him? As Prime Minister?
Saved him from what? No, not necessarily, because I don't, you know, I think people, I know GB News viewers probably love Donald Trump, but I think most people actually find him obnoxious. And I do think that there are people who will probably find there's an element
Why do you think people find him obnoxious?
Because he's...
Go on.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, he's a liar, for a start. He's rude.
That narrows down a lot of
well, that's true.
To be fair.
And I think the way he behaves and the way he's just, you know, it's like dealing with a 4-year-old. I mean, ask the viewers, see what they say. Maybe they think he's
one thing that you think makes Donald Trump like a 4-year-old. OK,
I am going to solve the war. I'm going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And guess what? I'm going to bring Putin in and give him the red carpet. And then Putin's going to go back and he's going to send more bombs to Ukraine. I'm going to come over to Britain and I'm going to, you know, be treated to everything in Windsor Castle. It's lovely, so I'll be nice. I'm going to humiliate Vladimir Zelensky in the White House in the most disgusting display of appalling manners.
Matt, President Trump, is he childish?
No, I think he's much more in tune with the public mood than the vast majority of people, the vast majority of his critics think. I mean, it's Keir Starmer whose approval rating at the moment is -40, which makes him about as popular in this country as Meghan Markle. I mean, the whole Labour government is imploding. Donald Trump's approval ratings are strong. He's rebuilding the US. He's rebuilding the US economy. The tariffs, which everybody said wouldn't work, they've actually turned out to be you know, remarkably successful for America. The borders are under control. He's taking on woke ideology. I just think, you know, people on the left have always they fail to understand that the new terrain of politics is not just the economy. Yes, the economy matters, but now culture and identity matter just as much. And all we've seen this week from one lefty commentator and columnist to another is everybody who has a different view, different opinion to me about these issues around identity and culture is a racist, is a fascist, is far right. And this narrative, this catastrophizing, it's only going to lead you into the cul-de-sac into defeat. Look at Trump.
Well, hang
They've been
on a
doing
minute.
that for 10 years. He's
Trump
stronger than ever.
Is taking people off air. His government is taking
He's
people
not
off air.
taking people off air. The network has taken people off air.
But just quickly, I wanted to bring out, talking about the divisive language, Sadiq Khan did actually say that President Trump has nasty views about black people, Muslims and gays. And that makes it sound like Sadiq Khan is calling Trump a racist or at the very best a bigot.
I think he is a bigot, and I think he said some horrible things about, he just casually sort of says, these people are awful. They're all rapists, or they're all murderers, or they're all hooligans, or whatever they are. Matt and I last week talked about, obviously in the wake of the terrible assassination in America.
Charlie Kirk, yeah.
And, one of the things that I said, and I do feel really strongly about it, is that Donald Trump had the opportunity to be a calming, unifying voice for the country, and he wasn't. He had to make a point.
A bigot?
No, I mean, no, of course not. He's just he is a president taking on a consensus in Washington for the last 30 years that completely cut adrift the American people and left them behind. And that you talk about Charlie Kirk and Jimmy Kimmel. The only thing I would say is I've suddenly seen lots of people that had no problem with a young conservative being murdered last week who now suddenly have a problem with a television host being taken off air. I see a lot of hypocrisy
We're
on the
coming
left.
on to that one, so keep your powder dry on that one. We have reached out to the Home Office and the Attorney General's office for comment. We are waiting to hear back from them on that one. Coming up, we'll be raising a glass in Dewberry Tavern. It's a Friday, why not? Come on. So you don't want to go anywhere. See you soon.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. Only on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Dewbs & Co with me, Dawn Neeson. Michelle's back on Monday for you. Keep me company. You know Matt Goodwin and Joe Phillips coming. You know who they are by now. And you, of course, lots of you are getting in touch about Joe's comments about Donald Trump. And lots of you are supporting Donald Trump. Rod says, drill, baby, drill. Go the Donald. And Joe, sorry, Joe. Ivy says, Joe should be banned from GB News for her extreme views. You are inciting hatred, evidently.
Apparently so. Goodness knows where.
But keep them coming in. I mean, these are strong opinions here. And John says the left have reached levels of depravity we have never seen. I channel my innermost Trump, but it is true. So, yeah, do keep them coming in. I will read as many out as... There's so many coming in, I can't keep up with what you're saying. But should we talk about cancel culture now? I mean, it is something we can't get away from, isn't it?
Like that lady just said about me?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an opinion. I'm reading opinions out. Come on. Right, we've got the booze and the bubbles. Yours looks suspiciously like lemon juice. I do hope there's a gin in there, young lady. And Dewbs Tavern is indeed open. Now, it's a Friday night, obviously. So a late-night show host, Jimmy Kimmel, has been taken off air indefinitely following his comments after the murder of Charlie Kirk. And now all the other late-night hosts in America are up in arms together, condemning the decision. Have a look at this.
Yesterday, after threats from Trump's FCC chair, ABC yanked Kimmel off the air indefinitely. That is blatant censorship.
I feel bad about this because we all see where this is going, correct? It's managed media.
In our democracy, and we must all stand up for the principles of free expression, there's a reason free speech is in the very First Amendment. It stands above all others. You might even say it's the ultimate.
OK, for those of you confused who Jimmy Kimmel actually is, he's 57 years old. He's hosted the Oscars 4 times. And on the murder of Charlie Kirk, he actually said the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterise this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it, says someone also scoring political points from it, but that's neither here nor there. But maybe the real offence here is the fact that he mocked Donald Trump's reaction to the horrific murder of someone basically Donald Trump regarded as a son. The president, he said, this is our Jimmy Kimmel, said, seemed more interested in discussing an extension being built on the White House. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he calls a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, mocked the comic even. Matt, what do you make of this? Should he have been cancelled?
Well, look, I don't like what Jimmy Kimmel said, but I also think when it comes to free speech, everybody has to be consistent on the right and the left. So if, you know, these people who are saying, look, we need to preserve the public square, we need comedians especially to be able to say what they want, I completely actually agree with that. But I would also hope that those same people, those same comedians, the people who are doing the monologues now that you've just shown, were also campaigning and calling out the attempts to censor Conservatives and classical liberals during the 2020 woke fest that followed Black Lives Matter, that they were also being respectful when young fathers and husbands like Charlie Kirk were murdered, because, to be frank, the last week I found very shocking seeing the reaction on the left of American politics to the murder of a father and a husband. What I would like to see is consistency. Now, I'd be the first to say, you know what, these guys are right, and I really applaud them in all of these monologues. But I also didn't hear the comedians and the entertainers coming out and saying, we don't think the Democrats should be shutting down on the marketplace of ideas. We don't think they should be hauling Donald Trump through the courts endlessly. We don't think they should be deliberately trying to stop him from running for the presidency. And I didn't see that consistency, to be honest.
I mean, it is true, Joe. I mean, we had Graham Linehan, the comedian, cancelled here by the left because of his views on transgender rights. So it is the left normally that we associate with this sort of like vicious cancel culture.
Which makes it all the more important that those people who, as Matt said before the break, if Donald Trump has taken back control of the cultural space, the shared space, against wokeism and against cancel culture, then you've got to be absolutely consistent. And your old colleague, Frank Furedi, wrote an extremely good article about it today. In fact, Frank, who's quite often on here sometimes.
Yeah, he's right. So, a lot of comments.
But, and it is absolutely, you've either got to say, OK, it's satire, spitting image, for goodness sake. All the programmes and shows that we have all grown up with in this country. I mean, I don't know Jimmy Kimmel from a bar of soap, and I don't suppose a lot of people do unless they watch those programmes. But satire is important, and it is a way for people to engage and to say things and, criticise every part of the political spectrum. But you've got to be consistent. This is beginning to look that Donald Trump is too thin-skinned, as I said before, that he can't take anything. And, yes, you can say, all right, take him off air for a bit.
Donald Trump can't take anything. Have you observed the last 15 years? The guy has taken everything the left had to throw at him and the judicial system, and he kept on going. That's why a lot of people admire Donald Trump fundamentally, is they look at a guy that refuses to give in to the left. He refuses to budge an inch.
But he also refuses to obey the law. Anyone who crosses him or anyone who doesn't do what he wants, he will attack them.
Do you know what, though, as well? Do you know why I think Trump drives the left so crazy? Because actually, he refuses to play their game. The left are used to people cowering. All these comedians that you see now up in arms, how dare there be this attempt at censorship? They said nothing from 2015 to 2020 when prominent celebrities, writers, journalists, chefs, academics were being hounded out of the public square for daring to question the woke religion. They said nothing at all. And now, holier than thou, look at my moral righteousness, look at my virtue, I'm standing up for free speech.
Censorship is the thin end of the wedge.
OK, let's leave it on morals and virtue. It's a Friday night. Thank you very much, Matt Goodwin and Joe Phillips. Thank you for watching. Up next, Lee Anderson's Real World. But first up, of course, it's the weather. Have a smashing weekend, you lot.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's going to be a wet start to the weekend for some, with a Met Office warning in force for heavy rain across northern and western areas. A much chillier day for all from Sunday onwards. Back to this evening though, and we've got this lingering weather front slowly edging its way southwestwards, dragging in some cloud and plenty of outbreaks of rain. This is set to continue through the overnight period, pushing more outbreaks of rain across parts of Wales, southwest England. This could be heavy at times. Otherwise, it should be mostly dry, just a few blustery showers clipping into the far northwest of Scotland and western coasts of Northern Ireland. But with plenty of cloud around, it should be a mostly mild night, temperatures dropping between 8 to 9 degrees Celsius in Scotland. Then, to start off the weekend, in Scotland, yes, we're still going to continue to see blustery showers across the far north and northwest. Elsewhere, though, it should be mostly dry. Some showers starting to clip western coasts of Northern Ireland, and it is going to be a very wet start across northern parts of England, similar across Wales and southwest England too, where we could still see some quite heavy downpours of rain first thing on Saturday. Now, this system will slowly try to edge its way southeastwards. It's fairly slow moving, but it will eventually move into central parts of England, parts of the south too. A rain warning has been issued, so a chance we could see some localised flooding. A mix of sunny spells and showers across Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, perhaps merging into some areas of persistent rain across Northern Ireland later. Staying mostly dry across the southeast, that's where we'll see the best of the temperatures. Not feeling quite as warm as Friday, but highs still reaching around 23 degrees Celsius. Now, on Sunday, there are still set to be some spells of rain, turning into brighter spells and showers by the afternoon. But with a northerly flow of wind, things are set to feel a little bit chillier, particularly across Scotland in the strengthening breeze. Into next week, it should be mostly dry and sunny, but the chilly feel is here to stay, and it's likely we'll even start to see some overnight frost.
Expect warm spells